Hi, Darcy Edwards here with Edwards Realty Trust, and today we are at the Movement Park with owner Molly Courtney. She's going to talk a little bit about what this amazing space is.
Okay, so the Movement Park is a multi-generational community for people to have fun with exercise and movement and to be adventurous in their way of approaching health and exercise.
Awesome. And so she brought up a point when we were walking around that failure flourishes here. And I think as adults, we stress not to ever fail. We don't want to do anything because we might fail at it. Well, here is a place where that flourishes. And can you maybe talk about how bringing out the kid in us can help us in our everyday lives?
Yeah, so I mean, similarly, we lose the ability or permission. We stop giving ourselves permission to play as we become adults.
Right.
And if you think about it, failure and mistakes are the way we've been learning our entire lives. So if you watch a toddler who's learning to walk, they're falling down and they get back up and they fall down. And each time that they fall down, they're learning how to do it better and how to improve their movement. So there's a lot of that in here where the first time you approach an obstacle is going to be really challenging, but the next time through you might feel a little bit more comfortable. You figured out a few things about your discomfort the time before, and by the end of class you're trying things that you thought you never could. I see that on a daily basis in here. People the first time through they're like, nope, I'm too scared for that. I go, that's okay. Next time through, just kind of play with it again and see how, play with that fear and play with that sense of where you're at. And then the next time through, each time they get more adventurous because they get more comfortable with the obstacles that they're facing.
And it's fun. It is fun. And fun produces creativity, right? When you're having fun, you're, oh my gosh, that great idea just came when I was bouncing on the floor, which we're going to take a look at in a moment.
Yeah.
But why don't you tell us, how did this come to be? How did this dream come, and from what circumstances?
Yeah, well, I grew up as an adventurous mover. I grew up as a competitive gymnast and on the mountains, and so it was really playful, just kind of interpretive styles of movement. But then my education is in exercise science, and so I was taught a very prescriptive approach to exercise, a very one-way thinking of you have to do this way, you're doing it wrong. And I remember sitting in meetings with other trainers where we're dissecting down to the micro movement of how to best activate the hamstrings in a deadlift, and thinking we've stolen all the fun out of this. There's just no wonder people don't like to come to the gym, or they're having troubles being consistent. And meeting with my clients and conversations with my clients, and that was an element that I saw was missing most. Adults were afraid of doing it wrong. They're afraid of listening to their own body and intuition about what was right for themselves because it didn't fit the prescription box. The creativity wasn't there as far as, if this isn't working for you, how else can we get creative with it? So some of the things I was doing with my clients was, they were getting their cardio in with their Wii at home, or every time they went to the bathroom, they would take the stairs up to the second floor and back down. It's that's how we're going to get our exercise in, and it doesn't have to be at a gym for 30 minutes or whatnot. So it was just,
Nice. So, okay, I'm just going to say it. I might be a little bit over the age of 30 or 40, whatever. So, someone like me comes in who has maybe some injuries and stuff. How do you work through that with them to get over that kind of the fear of failure and the fear of movement? Because, oh my gosh, we're not supposed to have hopscotch it in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
You're right. You can't
jump around, play, and move playfully.
Right.
And that disappears. We don't have a place to do that after the age of 18, or even younger. Playground and recess ends before that.
Right.
And then it comes into competitive sports, and then there's really no option to move in a free form. At least not a lot.
Right.
And so that's what drew me to this place and opening this space. And like you were saying, I think the biggest obstacle adults face is that fear, and fear of injury is a big one. I think what we see on Instagram and Facebook or YouTube is lots of flips and tricks and big jumps, and that I say is a slam dunk of parkour. That's the Michael Jordans of parkour.
Gotcha.
And so when you come into a parkour gym, I think that's the expectation people have. But when you walk in, it's more like playing a game of horse with your friends out in the backyard. And my favorite way to play basketball is without any rules. I'm like, why does it have to have rules? Why can't we just shoot the ball?
You are my spirit animal child, because I'm a little bit of that. That's a great rule. It just doesn't apply to me.
Yeah.
So
So this
I
is a
love
place for
it.
people like you.
Yay, that has a little bit of that rebellious, I'm not going to
Absolutely.
do that. I'm going to buck
I'm
the
gonna
system.
do it my way.
Yeah. So what can do it your way? So what are some classes that you have for adults?
We do have some that are specifically for adults because not all adults feel comfortable coming into a class with 7-year-olds, although I think there's some beautiful magic in that. Like when you're in a class with 7-year-olds, one, they have that playful spirit that we're missing, and so you're
Right.
witnessing it and you're engaging in it. And they, so you're kind of like pulled by that.
Right.
And they're the most non-judgmental, supportive group of people you will ever work out with because they're just encouraging. There's like that hierarchy of like who's best is not really there. And so there's some really like some beauty in working out with kids that I think we're missing in that fear of like, I don't want to be, the kids are here and I'm here as far as
Right.
energy level or whatever. But we also have some classes specifically for adults. So we have adult parkour on Wednesday nights. And then we have a high intensity interval training. Everything in here is interval training, but we have one that's more specifically kind of like that, what you would see in a gym of timed intervals on Monday nights. And we do get a handful of kids in there, but they're all ready to work. So it's more of a more mature kind of mindset in that group. And we also have cycling classes and adult dance.
Yeah. Dance.
Dance. Yeah.
Awesome. So here's an idea for, because mostly the people that are our core market, right, for this show is business owners, right? And they want to
Yeah.
know. So what about corporate retreats? Would this be a great place to have like a lunchtime meeting? You have a space, I think, for like the food and all that, and then they can come through and do a class.
Yeah.
And have lunch and just, maybe do some brainstorming or whatever. So.
Yeah, we actually have team building on our services. So our menu of services is team building, and we can do that led by somebody like myself who would take you through challenges. And it's not going to be big and physical unless
Right.
that's requested of you. But we can do some really neat stuff for teamwork and really
Very cool.
walking through overcoming obstacles as a team and how we can brainstorm and doing that differently in here.
Awesome.
So I always say it's life lessons in action in here.
This is fabulous. So now we're going to go and do some movement. We're going to have fun.
Play.
Go play.
Okay, so I'm going to take Darcy, who this is your first time doing parkour, through a couple obstacles. And one thing I like to really stress in all classes, especially with beginner classes, is that every obstacle has more than one way to get over it. Just like in life, you and I are going to
Right.
approach,
Yeah.
like if we were to have a big diagnosis or something like that, how you and I walk through that's going to be differently. So in here, there's obstacles that are set up, and we might show you one way, but the really cool thing that happens in here is in the process of play is people maybe do it the one way or attempt it one time, and they go, that doesn't or does work for me, and then they find new ways. So it's often that we'll find a kid that's kind of off the course, and you're like, wow, that's really neat what they figured out to do there.
Yeah.
So we just put obstacles in your way, and then you figure out how to navigate through them. This is like slanted steps, simply something we see on Ninja Warrior a lot at the beginning. But different ways to get through it are either stepping through it here, if that feels comfortable, or some people will come through this way and kind of hold on with their hands and take a step this way. Then there's always the option of skipping them. So just walking through here, we're getting a challenge because you're having to shift weight and find balance.
Oh, very cool.
And you're practicing and improving that balance. And so maybe by your third day attempting or fourth day, you're feeling a little bit more confident with that shift of balance and finding your own way through it. So
Show me that one first. Because I would have taken that. Today I'm going to go like this. Okay, by the way, the floor is bouncy. So fun.
yeah.
And I would have done that. So I'm going to do it the way that I practiced for our...
What I think was really cool about what you just did though is totally play.
Yeah, it was.
You're like, well, that didn't look like fun, but this does, so I'm gonna do the fun way.
Yeah.
And that's totally okay.
Yeah, and this is super fun. And when you do hit the floor, it's fun because it bounces and it doesn't hurt your knees. It doesn't hurt your body. And yeah, you can do different things the way that, makes sense for you. I love it. It's super fun. My son, who's 16 and was a climbing machine, would go crazy in here and just have fun. So
Yeah.
I know this was, I love the floor.
But now we're bringing
It's
out
like the
your
best part.
inner 16-year-old
Yeah.
who wants to come out and play, right?
Yeah.
So these are what we call vaults, and we have some vaults in here that are soft vaults, and then we have vaults in the other room that are, wood vaults. So it's a progression of getting comfortable and practicing and mastering skills.
Right.
And our whole idea is getting over things efficiently, and that's efficiently for you. So what's efficient for me and what's efficient for you might be different. So one of our basic vaults is called a safety vault, and you put one hand on a vault or an object, and you put the other foot, and then your standing leg comes through. So that's a very efficient way because we're not putting bellies on. Anytime we get our bellies on things, it slows us down. There's more risk of falling over the top of it because you're having to shift your balance around. So we're working on getting over efficiently and safely. So you can do it there, or our workup would be putting a hand here, putting a hand here. We have a little bit more space to get that other foot
Nice. We will see. This might get cut.
through. You can always step on it too. So if you don't want to
Yeah.
go through, you can step on.
Yeah. Okay. We're gonna do that. We're gonna do this.
Yep.
Because this works.
It totally
Because I'm riding a horse, and then we flip. Sorry, I have to help my little leg over.
Perfect. Yeah.
And this, and then we do the Nadia Comaneci
Because we're on the spring floor. Yeah.
Olympics 2029, or not, or whatever year it's in.
Yeah.
Well, Molly, thank you so much for letting us come and play at your house here.
Thank you.
Give us the address, how they can find it, and all that information of getting them involved and getting in here.
Okay. So we are right next to the Hillsborough Airport on Griffin Oak Street. So we're just across the street from Intel Jones Farm, next to Amelia's Mexican Restaurant, which is everybody's favorite, and
fabulous.
Griffin Oaks Park. So we're open. We have got morning classes at 5:30 a.m. We've got some middle of the day classes,
Nice.
and our primary hours are between 4 and 8 p.m. right now.
Excellent. Do you have a website?
Yes, www.themovementpark.com, and you can follow us on social media at The Movement Park.
Awesome. Thank you.